You're the reason that we became entrepreneurs, but why are you the reason that you're an entrepreneur? Do you know that?
Well, I actually never considered being an entrepreneur. I hit the ground running. God blessed me tremendously until I was not about the money because I had passion. But God took away the money to show me who He really was. And that's another level of my spiritual journey because He took everything, but He blessed me with children.
Welcome to the Affluent Sisterhood podcast. On this podcast, we'll be interviewing entrepreneurs and exploring their journeys to being a boss.
So as we know, success leaves clues.
Success leaves clues?
Yeah, I'm assuming that the people that are watching this are business owners, or maybe they want to be a business owner, and they can learn from us. They can learn from the people that we actually interview, all of the clues that we're going to be dropping on our podcast.
That's awesome. I'm super excited.
Yeah, me too.
Hey y'all, welcome back to the Affluent Sisterhood podcast. I'm Dahl.
And I'm Maggie.
And today we have a very special guest with us.
So in the past few episodes, we told you guys our story, and we also mentioned our mom. And if you guys forgot, or y'all maybe didn't watch the past episodes, our mom is an entrepreneur, and she's been an entrepreneur for a really long time. And, you know, it's a lot that we know, but it's also a lot that we don't know. So we wanted to invite her in today and get to know her story on a deeper level. So without further ado,
welcome our mother, Melanie Welch. Woo!
Go girl.
Hey.
Hey girl.
Hello.
Hey, hon.
Hello.
How you doing?
All is well. How are my babies?
Good.
Hey girl, hey.
So please welcome our very special guest, our mom, Melanie of Melanie's House of Beauty. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great.
Good.
Welcome. So for the people who don't know you, can you just introduce yourself and, what do you do?
I am Melanie Welch of Melanie's House of Beauty, and I am a cosmetologist of 48 years and counting.
Okay. So I don't know if you saw the first two episodes, but did you see the first episode at least?
Yes.
Okay, so you got to hear our story.
Yes.
I mean, you know us, so, it is what it is, but you got to hear the story on a deeper level. And I'm curious to know, where entrepreneurship started for you, because you're the reason that we became entrepreneurs, but why are you the reason that you're an entrepreneur? Do you know that?
Well, I actually never considered being an entrepreneur. When I graduated from high school, I followed my sisters and went to college, not knowing what I wanted to do. I mean, I had some things, but I was not college-minded. But I was following the tradition of going to higher learning. And it didn't take me long to realize that's not what I wanted to do, but I would have stayed in it. So after finding out and discovering that that wasn't for me, I wanted something, but I didn't know what it was. So after I got back home this particular evening after not being enrolled, I found out I was not enrolled in college after going for 3 months.
How'd you get a schedule?
Hey, they did it.
Wow.
So after finding out that I was not enrolled, I came home to, my family was there. They said, "Why are you home?" And I said, "You'd be home too if you weren't enrolled in college." So that was a big laugh, but not to me. So my sister, Linda Welch, said, "You can go to beauty school." And I said, "Hey, yeah, I love that, because I love hair. I have passion for hair." So I started beauty school, Franklin Beauty School on Dowling in 3rd Ward.
Shout out.
All right.
Shout out.
So I went and started beauty school, and I finished on time. And it's just been an uphill journey ever since. It's been highs and lows, but basically it's been an uphill journey ever since.
Okay, so who was your first client?
Well, I can't exactly say who was my first client, but I can say that I was a straight bootlegger. Well, I guess my first client was my family. My family was my first client.
But wait, what's a bootlegger? What you think?
My family was my first clients because they're the ones that you practice on.
Uh-huh.
So my brothers that I would charge 25 cents to do their hair, a shampoo, a scratch, a shampoo,
Not a scratch.
and braid down.
What's a
Scratch your
scratch?
scalp.
Oh.
Scratch your scalp and a braid down, and they didn't want to pay 25 cents. Kenneth Welch, Eric Welch, and Troy Welch did not
Maybe
want
not
to
calling
pay
them out.
25 cents to get their hair done. Fast forward, so they were actually my first clients, and a bootlegger is someone that does not have a license, that is doing their trade and getting paid for it. I was a good bootlegger. So I continued to grow, and once I started beauty school, I still have some of the same clients that I did. And in 1977, I still have some of the same clients.
Wow.
Okay, I'm curious to ask about, how do you think you maintain those clients from now to then, or from then to now?
Honestly speaking, I have had and have passion for my profession. The hair, skin, nail, the entire profession I have passion for, but it's the one pertaining to hair that's the most that has kept me where I am. And honestly speaking, it was not because I was so great. It definitely was because of God. It definitely was because I have passion. And another thing is we can learn from the clients. We don't know everything. It was a as you go. So as I went, and I know another thing that is major in business is attitude. Attitude, personality, and relationship. And because I love to laugh and I love people and I love people's stories, I've traveled all over the world through people's stories, through the different relationships that I've established. So that's how I've been able to stand all these years, is because of God and because of passion and because of relationship. It's never about the money, even though the money is tremendous. It's never just about the money. It's about relationship. Because I can meet you, but you have a network. I can meet you and you have a network. So bringing all of that together, like my father told me, Leroy Welch Jr. told me that it can make you or break you. This profession and your attitude, it can make you or break you. And I found that to be true. He also said word of mouth is the best advertising, which can make you or break you. So I've had some highs and lows in this profession, but all in all, I truly love people. And I enjoy working. I enjoy going to work. I enjoy meeting people. And I really enjoy laughing. So that's another reason. Because I found out there are so many people that have jobs and have good jobs, and they hate their job. I was shocked.
All right, honey, let's talk about that money. What's the most you done made in a day?
The most that I've made in a day was probably about $1,100.
Okay.
How many heads is that?
It doesn't necessarily have to be how many heads, because let's say someone is getting a $300 style.
Right.
Okay, so if they're getting a $300 style, then, they may be getting a $300, and maybe somebody else a $300 or something like that, or the smaller styles that add up, which could be, let's assume, I would have maybe 7 to 9 clients a day, or on a particular day, and that would total up maybe to around $1,100. So you just can't really say how many clients. It's a different service that they
I guess I should have asked, how many hours did you work to make that $1,100?
Well, I'm curious. So $1,100 is the max. I could have sworn I've heard you say I made $2,000 a day.
That was a week. That could be a week.
What you mean?
She made $2,000 that week.
Oh, that week.
We are independent. So, my lowest service is $25.
Oh, okay.
25 on up, so it's according to what they get, but a day. So imagine if you make $1,000 a day times however many days a week you work. But and even if it is a $2,000 a week or over $2,000 a week, I could have made that in 2 days. I didn't have to work all week. So I don't necessarily have to work 5 to 7 days a week to make that kind of money.
So that question is important to me because, the most we made, like in a previous episode, we said was like $14,000 in a day. And that, at that point for me, I told myself nobody else could hire me because I'm just doing more for myself than what a company could ever do for me.
When you're used to that kind of money and know you're valuable. Some people don't know that they're valuable, but when you make that kind of money, you kind of smile at something lower because you know that you don't have to work for $7 an hour. It's all right here. You don't have to. If you want to, I consider $7 an hour volunteer work. I mean, I'm just gonna volunteer.
Oh my
How
God.
much?
Not for real.
You know, because
Because that's not paying a thing.
Yeah.
Seriously.
Like not even, I mean, maybe
Maybe
like
the
two,
minimum wage?
2 gallons of gas.
Minimum wage is
you'll be paying them at the end of the
$7.25.
day.
No,
Not for real, because you got to
seriously.
travel to get the gas. So you
Your
cutting into
check
your
gone.
money.
Check gone.
Yeah, 0.000.
I've never been paid minimum wage. I've never.
I mean, even above minimum wage.
I'm just saying the $7. Like I know that people actually get paid that, and that's very unfortunate. But it's like,
Yeah.
how do you actually?
Like, how can you survive
How is
that?
there no negotiation about that price? I mean,
Yeah.
about that.
You know, and we're not knocking people that work
At
for
all.
that, but it is definitely a mindset. And so
Mm-hmm.
I would say, pull off your gifting. You know,
Mm-hmm.
pull off your gifting. You know, the word says that your gift will make room for you and bring you before many kings. So, you know, you got to pull off your gifting. But, you know, that's another reason for this podcast, to give people hope that they don't have to work for minimum wage.
Mm-hmm.
You know, God gifted all of us. Pull off your gifting. Make the money off your gifting.
Yeah, and that's true because, you know, a lot of people don't realize that God made us creative. So it is something that everyone is naturally gifted at. And some people are like, I don't have a thing. Like, but you actually do. Maybe you just haven't really spent enough time with yourself or even
Yeah.
enough time with God. And you could even say, no, I have. Maybe you haven't, you know, sat in a long time, literally like with yourself, by yourself, and allowed God to give you or allow time to go by for God to actually speak to you. Because, you know, it took me a year. Like I prayed to God and asked God for a certain thing within my business, and it took me a year to get the answer. So, you know, I would just say, pray on that, ask the Holy Spirit to give you revelation, and wait on that revelation and trust that it's coming.
Yeah. I can resonate with that because I say that like I don't believe I'm creative. I
Just gotta.
I don't know what my niche is
Yet.
and it's like, what am I doing? What do I do? Like I definitely don't want to work for someone else my entire life. Do I mind working normal job? Absolutely not. I love working. I love having a job. I'm gonna keep one. But it's like I love doing my own thing. I love being by myself. I love how my mind works. It's a little kooky, but I like it and I understand myself. So it's like, what is my talent? What is my gift? How can I be of service to others?
I mean, but you are of service to others. Like, first of all, I don't know if y'all knew this, but that girl can cook, okay? She the best cook out of all three of us, okay?
And makeup.
Yeah,
And
I
she
mean,
doesn't.
Here she do.
but
Here
my
she
mom
go.
always,
Here she
my mom is
go.
biased because she always be trying to get us into the beauty industry, okay?
Exactly.
Like,
Baby,
yeah.
this makeup right now, somebody, please don't judge me, okay? It looked good today. I did my thing. But previously, and the lady had the nerve to get me clients to do makeup.
Yeah,
Makeup.
and hair. Don't
And
forget
I didn't
that.
even know how to do my own makeup.
Don't forget hair.
She always be trying to entice us.
She'll give you a client.
And even if you tell her, oh no, like I literally have a meeting, I have to run to a meeting. Oh, but I already booked you for 3 people today. It's like, I didn't even know I was doing hair. I had no desire on doing this.
Shout out to my fellow cosmetologists. Now, you know, we need some shampoo girls and guys, whatever it takes to keep it rolling. And as a matter of fact, shout out to the cosmetologist children. Admit on how many relaxers you've done, haircuts, blowouts, shampoos, conditioner, braids, etc. We
Not
need
braids.
Baby, she been having us in the kitchen
Honey.
at the sink with a stepping stool,
Literally.
scrubbing them heads. Okay, a lot of y'all
Literally.
that's doing hair don't even be washing heads the right way. Okay,
Y'all wash them at all.
right? Y'all just be playing in the head. So at the
Ooh.
age of 3, we knew how to shampoo heads because she had us at that sink shampooing her clients' heads. What y'all know
Yeah.
about that?
Don't forget the original shampoo bowl
What's that?
is the kitchen sink.
Oh,
She had us
Do you
up.
know about that?
Yeah.
She had us
The
working.
original
stool,
shampoo bowl,
for sure.
laying you on the counter and baptizing you in the sink. The original shampoo bowl. Yes.
So we talked about the highs and lows of our journey of entrepreneurship. And I know every entrepreneur has highs and lows. So can you speak to some of your highest heights while you were an entrepreneur and some of like your lowest lows as an entrepreneur?
The highest highs is the money is tremendous. Making it rain happens every day. Hallelujah. When you realize, wow, I made this in a day. Yeah, that's really funny, right? And shopping, 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 and shopping some more. Shopping, being able to go and buy whatever you want, vehicles, houses, being able to travel, definitely giving to God and everything else after that. Take care of God, take care of your family, saving, all of that's the good part. Now, the lows is when you get blindsided by a thing, whatever that thing may be. And next thing you know, you're broke overnight and you didn't see it coming. And not only are you broke overnight, because when you don't know what you're fighting, you're swinging in the wind. And by not knowing what you're fighting and swinging in the wind, you stay in the storm longer. Because in everybody's life, I don't care where you are, what kind of career you have, a tsunami, I promise you, if you're living, the tsunami, the euroclydon is going to come. Are you ready for it? More than likely not. And it's a fact. Preacher said one time, sin will take you further than you want to go and keep you longer than you want to stay. So I had to own my reality of the things that happened in my life, but it took years. It took years for me blaming other people for what happened to me, because me living by the word of God that says that when we obey God, that we would ride on the high side of life and never fall. Well, I can own now my sins and the reason for the fall. Everybody's going to be tried. Everybody's going to have trials, because trials come to make us strong. But as far as my personal relationship and sinning against God, I can own what I did, which caused the euroclydon, which lasted for years. So thank God I'm out of that. Thank God the storm is behind me. But it was some trying times, and it really does test your faith. And for those people who don't know God and who don't have faith in God, it's far worse, because a lot of people, have checked out, by whatever means it's checking out, checking out on life, whether it's mentally or whether it's by suicide or whatever, you tend to check out. But, true, only the strong survive. So that was the lowest part, Everybody got a euroclydon with their name on it. So just
What is a euroclydon?
Okay, because I've never heard of this word.
It's in the Word of God. That's a storm. That's a major storm, and it's just like it comes from north, east, south, and west at the same time. So you just find in the Word of God talking about
Euroclydon.
The name of this storm is euroclydon. You don't know what happened. What? Yeah, that kind.
Lord,
Euroclydon
done turned you all around.
And I definitely think that, I know we can relate to that. I don't know how much of y'all can relate to that, the business owners out there that's listening. But we definitely can. And because it did get to a point, for me at least, when it was like we were just making this money and the strategy that we were putting in place was working. And even though some things weren't completely ironed out, it was still working. And it was just like so much abundance that was just coming in, and it had us fooled, because we thought that, oh, this is going to be constant, and it wasn't. And even when it was constant, we were getting hit up. We was getting hit up,
hit over the head,
hit up, and not moving, like my mom was saying, under the will of God. It started to become like an ego trip for me.
Exactly. Pride will. I'm glad you brought that up.
Oh, Lord, please don't go in on my sister.
Pride will come in.
No,
when
for
you
real.
get to make it bank, warning, pride will come in.
We need to have like a warning label.
Yeah, no,
warning,
for real.
warning.
You have to stay humble. When you're able to travel and do and shop and spend, when you're able to live that life, I promise you pride is going to come in, but you got to rebuke that thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, watch out for pride. Pride
I
really
don't believe
does
I had
come
any
from the
pride because
You did.
I did not.
You did. But she really did.
I ain't have, girl, my money was short. No matter how long it was for everybody else, mine was short all the
You had
time.
your baby pride.
Wait.
And it was,
Why are you saying your money was short all the time?
it was
Girl, how so?
because of my own personal household.
Oh, okay.
So
I thought you were saying I was short changing you. I'm about to say, hold up.
No,
I mean,
but yeah, like what was prideful? How was I prideful? That's what I need to know.
compared to
I'm talking about me because I don't believe I was prideful at all.
You weren't prideful. You were confident, and that's great.
Confident.
It's a difference between confidence and pride.
I mean, I guess
It changes.
I was confident. I can say that. I was
confident.
yeah, I'll say that.
Yeah.
I'll agree with that.
Yeah.
But pride, no, because I knew what was going on in that house.
Oh, yeah. You was getting humbled daily.
Baby, daily, okay? But yeah, I will say confident and comfortable for sure. That's good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so, I mean, like, how can people prepare for, I guess
An
getting
abundance of blessings?
No, like getting through pride. Like, is it something that you feel, the certain steps that people will experience that can lead them to pride?
Being humbled.
And like, how can they avoid or get past pride so that
before they get humbled? Like, seriously. Either you're going to get humbled or you
can humble yourself.
Yeah, and I would much rather humble myself.
Yeah.
I would rather humble myself than God humble me any day.
Yeah.
But sometimes we need that corrective, we need that structure and we need God, period. But sometimes it's like, baby, you're not even listening right now. So how about I sit you down?
Yeah.
Well, what I would say is for those who know God and those who don't, you always have to have somebody in your life that will hold you accountable.
Yeah.
Somebody that loves you enough to tell you the whole truth in love. And you can bounce off of each other. If you start, look like you're getting ready to get out there, reel it on back in. I didn't have those kind of people out loud in my life. Of course, because nothing was wrong with me, right? So I didn't have those kind of people that spoke out loud to me, did it behind my back, but they didn't do it out loud. And if I had, and then I
do you feel like you were approachable to where they could say that to you?
I know I wasn't because she told me and I rejected.
Well, look at here, twins. Wow.
But my parents were telling me. They were telling me, but when you know more than your parents, then
you looked over here a little too long.
when your parents are trying to tell you, and we've been there, but so my father said life is the best teacher. And boy, when one thing about life is not just the best teacher. Life is a master teacher. Life does not miss. You may get away over here, you may get away over there, but it's coming back. Life is a master teacher. So I would say definitely stay with God. Stay humble. Stay in the Word. Get in the Word and stay in the Word. Get with believers of the Word, not believers of religion, believers of the Word. Please read your Bible for yourself and ask God for understanding, because when you repeat what people say, that's a spirit of religion, and it's not in the Word at all. So I continued to read my Bible, but then I had these, and in having these, I eventually failed. So that was the reason for that. But if you have someone in your life that will hold you accountable for doing what's right, then that's going to help you, because you can bounce off of each other.
Yeah.
And to that point of like everybody in your ear, it's been 2 times in my life where I had to go through a period of isolation. And I think both times was God put me there. But the first time I just was like, okay, I'm here. Like I chose to go through that period of isolation, even though I didn't realize that that's what it was. And then the second time was when, Dahl and I got into it. My friends that I fell out with, my family, and I went through this period where I was like by myself, and I didn't have any outside voices or anybody to tell me what I should do.
Yeah.
And I had no choice but to listen for God. Even before I knew that I was listening for God, that's the first time it happened was the first time I heard God's voice. Mm-hmm. And I remember when people would say things like that before I heard God's voice, and I was like, is it audible? Like,
yeah.
What does he sound like?
Is it deep voice?
What I mean? But as I have been studying telepathy, and that's a whole other conversation, but I understand that God's voice is this knowing within yourself, and it is essentially God speaking in your brain or in your heart, because it also comes, it's a knowing and it's a feeling of clarity that just it can overwhelm you at times.
Yeah.
But it's kind of like people say that gut feeling that you have, but then it also at times comes with like a download of information that you weren't even thinking about.
Yeah.
And then when you really sit down and think about it, it's like, this definitely didn't come from me. I don't even think like this.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, and it's just something that will happen if you want it. Like and even if you don't want it, God will position himself in your life and in your heart when you need it and when you're receptive to it. So if that has never happened to you yet, just ask God for that experience, and he will give you that experience when the time is right. That's what I'll say.
Yeah. And that's a wonderful experience, truly. Just feeling, and I'll add, like, with all of what you said, along with that, for me comes like literally immediate relief and peace. Like, no matter what is going on, once I like journal, and I journal, I turn on some lo-fi music. It's just beats, like very relaxing music, and I pray before I journal. I write everything I need to write. I pray after, and I feel brand new after that. So it's definitely about keeping calm, listening for God. Like, make sure you're in that place of actually being receptive to hear God's voice and to hear what he has for you, so that you can move forward and get the blessings that he wants you to have.
Absolutely. So how did your life change for you on a mental level and on a physical level when you finally, actually, before I ask that question, at what point in your journey did you start making money? Because I know you said you started doing with your family and friends, but like, at what point did you really start making money? How many years in or months in until you really just was like, oh, wow, this money coming in?
I hit the ground running. Because I have passion, I hit the ground running. I didn't have a plan. I just had passion. And the money started coming immediately. Even as a bootlegger, I always had money. Always had money. Everybody in the family could be broke. Melanie got her some coins. I hit the ground running. God blessed me tremendously. God blessed me so tremendously until I was not about the money. I wasn't thinking about the money because I had passion. But it wasn't until I was 19 years old and had gone to my accountant, and he said, wow, you made $100,000 this year. And I said, is that good or bad? I wasn't about the money. And so I got back to work, and I was talking to one of my clients, and I said, my accountant said that I made $100,000 last year. And she turned and looked at me. I said, what's wrong? And she said, do you know how much money I make a day? I said, how much? And she said, $60. I said, all day? All day? All day long? Like, you work 8 hours a day, 60? And she said, yeah. I said, what's wrong? Why? What's wrong? Because that was even in the beginning. And I could work back then. That was 1977. I remember when I made my first $100 a day. I was 17 years old, and it wasn't a day. It was it was $100 in 2 hours. And I was so excited, and I went home, and I told my father, I said, guess how much money I made today? Leroy Welch Jr. He was at the table eating, and I was so excited because I have passion. And I said, guess how much money I made today? And he said, how much? He was my biggest fan. He was my biggest fan. And I said, $100. I had $100 bill. And the whole house stopped. And he said, you make more money than me? I said, what? You the daddy. You're the provider. And I made more money than him in 2 hours. I had no idea because I had passion. And it continued like that because of the type of services that I was giving. You didn't have to work all day. You know, you could make your bank, whatever your bank was that you wanted to make for that day and stop, or you can keep going. You know, I didn't just exactly work 8 hours. My normal working hours, my normal business hours is 4 a.m. until 6:30 p.m. Monday through Saturday. And then God blessed me so until I was able to, when people started coming in and I started hiring people, then I was able to work like Monday through Friday at 12, Monday, every day at 4 a.m., but Monday through Friday. And on Fridays, I would cut off at 12, and then I would fly out. I would fly wherever I wanted to go. Flights.
You getting flew out.
I just fly out.
Flying herself out, baby.
Breakfast in Ibiza.
And then
Period.
lunch in Azusa, and then dinner in wherever. So I would fly out on Fridays after I finished my 12 o'clock. Once I fly out, then I was always back home for work on Tuesday morning and start back over like that.
What a life.
That was my schedule. I wasn't married. I didn't have any children. And then when I did get married after I got divorced, that's another story. I still was on that schedule. You know, when you're free like that, live free. I live free.
I love that.
I traveled. I've done. I've been. I've seen. That's why I'm where I am now. It's not that I'm tired of traveling. I'm not. You know, because life will bring about changes. You know, and you just go with the flow. Just don't give up on you. Don't give up on you. Don't give up on you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Love that. What a life. I would love to maybe get flued out Friday.
Okay.
Friday after
flying
work.
yourself out.
At 12.
At 12.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, that's what I just...
And that's 12 noon, not midnight.
Afternoons.
You know, because for us, we had to start over in a sense with the business, not with everything, but
yeah.
we did have to start over because we were in like hustle mode, you know,
Yeah.
and I had to remind myself, hey, I don't work for nobody. Like, I could just book a quick trip real quick, and I did that, and it was very refreshing and very much needed. And you know, I'm grateful. I'm just so grateful to you because, you know, you planted the seed of entrepreneurship and just having the mindset of it literally, like, whatever you want up here, whatever you can imagine for yourself, that is possible. And I look at life like this, that it's like, what do you want? You know, like you were talking in the last video about abundance mindset or about poverty mindset. To me, if the you know, reciprocal of that is abundance mindset. So I might not have everything, but I try to tap into abundance mindset, and I did that early on. And the way my brain works is I don't look at things for what they are now. I don't look at what I have now, you know. I try to see things for what I want them to be, you know. And so, for example, if the business, I said, okay, I see us having a successful business. I didn't see the hurdles in front of us. I looked beyond the hurdles and I saw the success. And I think for a lot of people, they don't think about it like that. They look at every single hurdle and all of those hurdles can make you feel like, oh, like it just makes you not want to move forward, you know? But if you start with the vision in mind first, then you can kind of like start layer by layer with each hurdle and then address that. You know, it's kind of like this big elephant. You can't take apart this big elephant all in one setting. You have to break it down and actually visualize yourself doing it first, you know? But you were talking about how, you know, you hit the ground running and, you know, how it was very successful for you initially. Like, that's not the case for everyone, because that definitely wasn't the case for us, you know?
I mean, we thought we were like doing our thing. We did. We were doing our thing.
But it was a time we wasn't making money.
No,
And I know
I'm
that's
talking about, because you said she hit the ground like in the initial. We didn't hit the ground running or
Yeah.
anything, but we had a.
Baby,
Were
we
we
wasn't
crawling?
moving at first. We didn't move.
Were we crawling?
We was just trying to stand at first. Because we wasn't making money.
Yeah.
And the thing is,
Yeah, baby, we were just now standing up.
some people
that's
could
true.
probably say that we hit the ground running, because a lot of people don't hit 6 figures in 6 months.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But I do remember that time. Do you remember that space of time where we were not making money? It's like the vision was there. We put it on paper. We actually got it done. And it's been 2 months. We only have $75.
Yeah.
Now, something ain't adding up.
I'm not right.
Something is not adding
I'm
up.
gonna ask.
Oh,
I'm just
Lord.
gonna ask. You know, it's real. You know, if you don't pay your tithes and offering, you will cause your well to dry up. It's a fact. People don't want to hear it. People don't like to hear it, but it's a fact. I know, and I believe even now that the reason I have been blessed my entire life, whether it looks like it or not, I know that it's because of God. We were taught to give. We were taught to give to the kingdom. We were taught that giving 10% of everything you get, it belongs to God. Everything. I'm a tither. I believe in it. And God knew when the Old Testament, he talked about giving a 10. And he would bless you abundantly. He would pour you out blessings that you won't have room enough to receive. He'd open up the windows of heaven and pour you out open up a window. Now imagine how many windows is it in heaven? If he opened up just one window and you could not handle it, and he's blessed me so until I've been able, I couldn't hold it all. One example, I can tell you many, is Barbary. God used this woman, hi Miss Barbary, God used this woman beyond, once I went broke. And when you go broke, it messes with you mentally. Do I have any witnesses? It messes with
Me.
you mentally. Okay, when you've been on the mountain and you fall underneath the valley
And you're
in the
drowning.
muck and miry clay and you don't know a way, but you still know him, so you got a chance because he's under that too, because he's the creator God. And then even under there, God will start putting people in your life. So don't feel bad of course you're going to feel bad if you hit rock bottom. Who's glad?
But don't stay. Don't stay.
But God will put destiny helpers into your life to help you. And me with my pride, yes, I had pride. I needed these things. God took away the money to show me who he really was, because I got very comfortable in the money. But God took away the money to show me who he really was. And that's was another level of my spiritual journey, because he took everything, but he blessed me with children. I always wanted children. He blessed me with children. And I thank God for that, because they are a branch, an extension of me. And then on top of that, I wasn't able to give to my own children the abundance. And that's what hurt so bad all those years. I was not able to spoil my children and give them the abundance that I had given out to others. And it was messing with me mentally. But God had destiny helpers in my life that gave, oh my goodness, God used them to give so much. Karen Simmons, to give so much until I couldn't hold it all. Sabrina Lewis Jones. There are going to be people. Don't feel bad. Don't have pride. Humble yourself. But I promise you, even if you give your tithes and offering, you still got a euroclydon with your name on it. You got a personal
euroclydon. How do you say it?
Euroclydon. You got
euroclydon.
Personal one.
Put my shoulders in
You're
it.
still gonna have some storms in your life, but as long as you have the Lord in your life, as long as you have him,
Stay rooted.
as long as you have him, I don't care. Everything can be taken away from me. everything can be taken away from me, but as long as I have the Lord, I got everything, and that's enough to start all over again. And you're just going to be tried. That's life. You're going to be tried. You're going to shed some tears on this side of heaven.
Ooh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Life. It's
It
life.
is. What's the reality?
Life is a master teacher.
Yeah.
Life is a
Reality.
and if you fail in one area, just calm down. You're going to get a retake.
Yeah.
You're going to stay in pre-K until you pass.
And I was talking to somebody about that the other day, one of my friends. It's like, what we don't realize is that each one of us are on like this hamster wheel. You know, we're all on this hamster wheel. We put ourselves on the hamster wheel. And sometimes we don't. Sometimes our family puts us on it because of generational curses and also generational choices that have been made. You know, you just happen to get drug on this doggone hamster wheel, and you are like,
my leg.
like, dang, okay, I guess I gotta run because I'm banging my head up. So let me just start running.
Yeah.
And we get so tired, you know, in life, we're just so exhausted, but it's because you're still on that hamster wheel.
Yeah.
And the reason you're on that hamster wheel is like, until you realize that you have to change course. Like, you have to change what you're doing, or you have to change what's been done in your family. And until you do that, you're going to stay on that hamster wheel. So just like, you know, my mom said, you're going to have to keep circling back to these certain tests over and over and over again until you understand them, master them, and choose a different path.
Well, I found out in the storm. Because when I was balling
Balling in the mix.
selfish. I really was selfish. I would help my family, nobody else. So God used these situations to teach me how to give and to teach me how to look at somebody else. Because my father said, don't let nobody use you. Well, in my brain, that meant take care of your house and everybody else on the outside. But that's not what he meant, because my parents, Ada Marie Sonia Welch and my father, Leroy Welch, they were givers. They were givers. They helped, they did all of that. They did that. And I didn't understand because I wasn't knowledgeable in that area, you know, back then. But it wasn't until God can show you some things in the valley. So when I was in the valley, I began to see where I should have helped this one. I should have done this. I had the money. When God blesses you, whatever God blesses you with, it's really not just for you. You take care of him, and you give your portion. Take care of yourself, and then take care of your family, and the rest is for others. I have it now, but look at the pain and the storms and all that I went through to get that understanding. And I still have people to this day that are blessing me.
And I gotta add to that, and I'm gonna we're gonna close with this one and do a part 2 for this video. Baby, not only did she understand that test and realize, oh, I need to start giving to people, baby, she gave everything. She went from giving nothing, baby,
to giving everything. Because why did I come home in 7th grade and my bed gone? Where's my bed?
Me, where's the couch, ma'am?
Where's my bed?
Where's the couch? Like, I'm trying to bring some friends over. Like, we need a couch.
They
Where's
needed
the
that
couch
bed.
at?
They needed your dresser. What did I need? Because not a room empty.
You're getting a new one, babe. You're getting a new one.
Baby,
And let me tell
didn't
y'all
get a new one
this.
until
Let me tell y'all this. Didn't get a new one because why? We couldn't afford it.
So
We're being real.
Don't really.
We're being real.
So listen, guys.
We're being real here.
She went from point A to point B.
And on that note, we'll
Point A to Z, actually. She went
right.
straight to Z.
Okay, guys. So
Bye, y'all. Thank
we'll
you.
catch y'all in the next episode.
Bye.